A cold night in the Shenandoah Valley here in Virginia brings playoff football to James Madison. The top-seeded Dukes and their Superman quarterback, Rodney Landers, welcome in a Big Sky champion in Montana. A national semifinal in front of a packed stadium. Next. Welcome to Bridgeford Stadium and this NCAA football championship game presented on ESPN2 by Enterprise Rent-A-Car here at James Madison. Tonight, the top-ranked and top-seeded Dukes will host Montana. A trip to Chattanooga and the national title game is on the line. Yes, Virginia, there are playoffs in college football, at least in the championship subdivision, formerly known as 1AA. As this is the first of two national semifinals on ESPN this weekend. Our game tonight, tomorrow afternoon, Northern Iowa and Richmond will meet. The winners advance on to Chattanooga for the championship game, which we'll have for you next Friday at 8 o'clock on ESPN2. A reminder, in case you've watched college football all season on ESPN and ESPN2 and ABC, the same rules are in effect tonight as have been in effect in Division 1A all year, and review will be used, instant replay tonight, for the first time in 1AA. And here come the top-ranked Dukes. It feels like playoff football as Bobby Houck's Montana Grizzlies take the field as well, and we welcome you once again here to Bridgeford Stadium. I'm Bob Wischusen with Brock Heward. And Brock, I think when we saw the bracket come out, expected that we would be here, and deservedly so. James Madison is the top-ranked team in the bracket. They're the top-ranked team in America, and they arguably play in the top-ranked conference in the football championship subdivision.
Yeah, in that conference, the Colonial Athletic Association placed 5 of the 16 teams in this playoff bracket from their conference. So a dynamite conference that they ran through. They're 20-1 in their last 21 games in this stadium, and they ran through that conference on the legs of their superstar quarterback, Rodney Landers, a kid that can both throw it and run it. Their leading rusher over 1,600 yards, but he also threw for 1,500 yards. And I think the most amazing statistic of all, nearly 3 touchdowns a game from number 7.
And once you make it to the Final Four, so to speak, in the football championship subdivision, you have established yourself as no slouch. And we know Montana is a dangerous team. They have built a dynasty in the Big Sky.
And Bobby Houck is the leader of that dynasty. 11 straight Big Sky championships. They've been in these playoffs for 16 straight years. And Bobby Houck in his 6 years, 65 and 15 in those 6 years. And they build this program around blue-collar kids, and none more blue-collar than their strong safety, Colt Anderson. How about that name from the state of Montana? I think that fits. Colt is aggressive. He's sudden. He is their leading tackler. He is a 3-time All-Big Sky performer, and they're going to need him to tackle Rodney Landers a lot tonight.
Bridgeford Stadium is sold out for playoff football. One team's dream lives on tonight. The other team goes home. An entire season comes down to the next 60 minutes. No polls, no computers, just a scoreboard to read in the end. The only other time Montana and James Madison have met, the Dukes won the 2004 National Championship game. Tonight, they play for the right to go back to Chattanooga. Will Rodney Landers and the Dukes prove their #1 ranking is deserved? Or can the dynasty from the Big Sky pull off the upset? We find out in a win-or-go-home national semifinal next. A trip to the national championship game hangs in the balance here in Harrisonburg, Virginia tonight, and it is football weather. It feels like 28 degrees and temperatures will drop throughout the night, but that is not keeping the fans home as James Madison's student section has been packed for hours. And Mickey Matthews, the conference Coach of the Year in the Colonial Athletic Association in his 10th season at James Madison, a 2-time Division 1AA Coach of the Year. One of those years, 2004, when he led James Madison to the national championship. In that national championship game, they beat Montana. And Montana, as Brock Ewart said a moment ago, 11 straight championships in the Big Sky Conference. They are 13-1 this season, 11-1 in the regular season. And Bobby Hauck, an assistant at Washington, Colorado, Northern Arizona, UCLA, all of those schools before prior to taking the job at Montana. So he brings a wealth of coaching experience at a very young age to a Grizzlies team that won the toss and elected to defer their option to the second half.
And if those opening shots were indicative at all, Bobby Hauck looked very comfortable on this very frigid night in the Shenandoah Valley. And his counterpart, Mickey Matthews, looked a little chilly. It's going to get even colder as this night goes on, Bob.
Scotty McGee, as you saw a moment ago, is back deep to receive the opening kickoff, and he was the Colonial Athletic Association Special Teams Player of the Year. He has 6 career touchdown returns, 4 touchdown returns this season in his career. 3 kickoff returns for a touchdown, 3 punt returns for a touchdown. He's already broken the return records here at James Madison, previously held by Gary Clark, who you might remember as a Pro Bowl wide receiver with the Washington Redskins.
And he's a difference maker, not just in the field position. He changes the games. And I like what Bobby Hauck told us yesterday. He said, we're going to kick to them. Our kids are on scholarship too, and they've got to make the tackles tonight.
The winner to Chattanooga in the national championship game. The loser season is over. And a short kickoff will be handled at about the 25 to the 30-yard line and brought out close to the 40-yard line. Andrew Schmidt made the stop for Montana as Patrick Ward brought back the opening kick. And here is Rodney Landers. And Rodney Landers, Brock, is, as has been described to us by the folks here at James Madison, quite simply Superman with the numbers he's put up this year.
And he's a big running back that happens to play quarterback. 1,680 yards rushing this year. And there you see the passing statistics. Very efficient in the passing game as well.
Eugene Holloman gets the game's first carry and picks up a couple of yards at best before he is driven back by Jace Palmer. So this could be a heavyweight fight between these two teams tonight. So we take a look at our tail of the tape, and it is a heavy dose of the rush that we'll see tonight from James Madison.
And that scoring offense, second in all of the FCS this year, a school record 39 points a game.
Room on second down and gets a first down into plus territory, brought down at Montana's 48-yard line.
And one thing you see instantly in these first 2 plays, Bob, is what concerned Montana, and that's not just these skill people that get all the attention. Look at the center there, the all-leaguer Scott Lem, get out onto those linebackers. A very athletic front for James Madison, very, very active from the line of scrimmage.
Looks to the sideline on 1st and 10. A long snap count and a trap handoff. And getting loose at about the 45-yard line for a moment was Holloman, but a nice tackle made by Jace Palmer as we take a look at our impact players.
And Scott Lem, I just mentioned him getting onto those linebackers. A very bright kid. He's their center that sets the stage in all their protections. Defensively, Marcus Haywood, 5 interceptions. He is their leading tackler. He is the quarterback of that defense, and we talked about Scotty McGee. Watch him tonight. Devin Hester-esque in the way that he can impact a football game.
Second down at 6. Landers might be changing the play. Again, it's Holloman, and he's close to another first down. Brought down maybe a yard shy by Mike Statnick. It will be 3rd down and 1.
You see a lot of teams in college football, Bob, run this spread, zone, option offense. And the teams that do it best are those teams like in Oklahoma, like in Oregon, that got a front that can move. And this front for James Madison, you're going to see tonight, very, very athletic, especially in the interior of their offensive line.
High formation here for James Madison. Griff Yancey, number 17. is equally a rushing threat to number 14, Eugene Holloman, who takes the pinch on the option and gets the sideline. A first down on 3rd down and 1, and it was Griff Yancey out paving the way.
There's no read option there. They call that a speed option. You see Rodney Landers come down the line of scrimmage. He's got one read there. There's no fake. A nice, easy pitch there, and you see some of the quickness of these skilled positions. I think that's one thing that's going to jump out to you tonight, the difference between maybe the Big Sky Conference and that Colonial Athletic Association that we talked about. Probably a little bit more top-end speed with some of the skilled players at James Madison.
6 straight runs to open the game. This one goes nowhere. Holloman dragged down by Jesse Carlson for a couple of yard loss. Let's take a look at Brock's Chalk Talk, some keys to the game.
You like that Chalk Talk?
I was excited to lead you to that, yes.
Well, Montana, offensively tonight, they're going to have to be balanced. They're going to have to run the ball, and you're going to see them tackle very well tonight. I really believe that. Bobby Hauck's a guy that believes in fundamental defensive football will be key for their success. James Madison, control the interior offensive line. They've done that thus far, and they must limit Montana's big passing plays when you see them defensively.
James Madison hasn't thrown the ball yet. They might be in a passing situation now on 2nd down and 12. It is a throw. And an incompletion through the hands of Patrick Ward. The blow delivered by Keith Thompson.
That fumbled snap impacted that post pattern just enough. Actually, it was a fake. I think he rode that fake just a little bit too long, was a little bit late on that throw. When we get in that play action game, you want to run that play action to suck those linebackers to the line of scrimmage, which they did. But Rodney's got to be a little quicker popping up and hitting that post. It was just a little bit behind his receiver.
Now on 3rd down and 12 for a team that runs for about twice as many yards as they throw for statistically. This is not their strength. Landers, quarterback draw. And comes up a couple of yards shy of the first down. Got down to the 24-yard line. He is 3 yards shy. Jesse Carlson was there on the stop along with Tyler Corwin. So now on 4th down and 3. Do you try a field goal or will James Madison go for it? The Dukes leave their offense out.
You see some of the speed and explosiveness from Rodney Landers, a big running back, capable of throwing the football, but you're going to see him run the ball a lot tonight.
A huge early moment in this game. James Madison to go for it on 4th down and 3. Landers keeps, reaches for the 20-yard line, and I think he's got the first down. You know, Brock, he's been compared to Armani Edwards a bit, at least at this level, because of the numbers he's put up as a quarterback. But Edwards, we saw earlier this year, what's he, 180 pounds? Landers is 220 pounds, and I think we saw the strength there.
That's absolutely right. That last play, you saw some of the speed, and there you have a chance to make the tackle, stop them. That was Tyler Corwin, the weak side linebacker's got to keep his feet and drive through on that 4th down tackle, a chance to stop him. But Rodney Landers simply too strong, falling forward for that first down.
The average is about 129 yards rushing per game at the quarterback position. Nice fake there, and Landers gets in the open field and is brought down inside the 15-yard line. That was the 10th play of this drive and the 9th running play to go along with 1 incomplete pass.
And I'll tell you what else you saw at the end of that drive. You saw wide receiver Bosco Williams actually knock the safety that we talked about earlier, Colt Anderson, right on his back. They're going to make it a point that Colt Anderson is not going to make the tackles. They're going to commit their wide receivers to blocking him and make these linebackers try to tackle these fast quarterback and running backs at James Madison.
Landers on 2nd and 4, throws on the run. A low ball scooped up on the far side, complete for a first down to Rakeed McCarter. It's 1st and goal. Now remember tonight, for the first time this season, at least at this level, in the football championship subdivision, we do have instant replay in effect. And the booth might be looking at this play as we speak. Short hop.
That's going to be incomplete. See if the booth up here can work out their kinks and get to this play quick enough. That certainly hit the ground.
The officials in the replay booth are from the ACC conference, and they have already ruled an incomplete pass.
Actually, the Missouri Valley Conference officials on the field, I think, made that change. Good job of grouping, getting together on that call and changing that to a now critical 3rd down.
Landers on a rollout on 3rd and 4. Brought down at the 15-yard line. Tyler Corwin in pursuit. And now it's the same situation as we had a moment ago. For James Madison, it's 4th down and about 3. And here comes the field goal unit. It took a moment for Mickey Matthews to bring that field goal unit out. I think he was thinking about it, but he's going to bring out Dave Stannard, who has been solid this season. 10 for 14 on the year and 22 for 28 in his career, and this to try and get James Madison on the board from 32 yards away. High snap, they got it down, and that is hooked through. Stannard converts, and James Madison strikes first. The top-seeded Dukes take a 3-0 lead. A solid opening drive for James Madison. Our game tonight is being broadcast in high definition on ESPN2 HD. Bob Wischusen and Brock Ewert back. James Madison. Bridgeport Stadium, the site of tonight's Division I Championship Semifinal, presented on ESPN2 by Enterprise. A 3-0 lead for James Madison, and now Montana, who won the toss and deferred, will get the ball for the first time. And a short kick down the sideline once again. A big hit made at the 39-yard line. Caleb McSurdy was able to field it for Montana. And Brock, I know you want to keep the ball sometimes away from dangerous return men, but basically James Madison just handed the ball to Cole Bergquist at the 39-yard line.
And much like Montana had done the previous drive, kicking away from Scotty McGee. So I think early in the game you may want to try to limit that really big play, that long kickoff return. So I think both head coaches may make different decisions the next time around on their kickoffs.
First carry of the night for Chase Reynolds, and he is a dangerous tailback. Not very dangerous here. Brought down after a yard gain by Hassan Abdul Wahed. Reynolds has run for over 100 yards in 7 consecutive games. In those 7 games, a total of 1,140 yards and 15 touchdowns. Overall this season, 19 scores on the ground. He's been named 2nd team All-Big Sky, which means the 1st team All-Big Sky tailback's got to be really good. A keeper for Bergquist. And he gets out to about the 43-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 5 for Montana as we take a look at some offensive and defensive numbers for the Grizzlies.
Montana's not bad themselves at putting up points there. You see 33 points a game, 18th in the FCS. They've got good balance. They're at their best when they can run the football first and then commit to some of that play action pass down the field. And James Madison is a defense, much like their offense, it's built around speed, a lot of 200-plus pound guys that can really run.
James Madison this season is +9 in the turnover ratio. 3rd and 5. Bergquist with a strike for a first down right to midfield. Rob Schulte found a soft spot in that zone, or rather Marinari, and that is good right at the 50-yard line to move the sticks.
They were concerned about Mariani's ankle. He's been nicked up with an ankle sprain. He is their big playmaker in the passing game. He's their fastest player, does a nice job of settling into that zone defense, getting past the yardage markers and converting the big 3rd down of the game for Montana.
Bergquist down the sideline looking for a big one again. It's Mariani. And Mariani almost pulled it in off the tip. Evan McCullough was there step for step in coverage. But he had a chance after the ball was tipped on the way down.
He does a very nice job here. You see him using that off arm and shielding the defender. That's a throw that Cole's got to put out there just a little bit more. Those one-on-one situations, they're going to get a lot of those tonight. James Madison will commit to stopping this run first. When they get those one-on-one shots, I really believe that'll be the difference tonight. They need to hit some of those big plays.
Third down, or rather second down and 10. A 4-yard completion to Ferreter to the 45-yard line, and now they rule it incomplete. It will be third down and 10 after we take a look at Montana's impact player.
And you talk statistically about Chase Reynolds, but I love the fact he played 8-man football out in Montana. He is a downhill blue-collar runner. We talked about Cole Anderson in the opening, a tackle machine, 3-time All-Leaguer, nearly 300 tackles, a very aggressive football player. And Mark Mariani, he is their big play receiver. He's also got 2 returns, punt returns for touchdowns. And that's who they're going to kick away from in special teams tonight.
Mariani at the top of the screen. Or rather at the bottom of the screen. I believe there was a problem with the play clock. They now have it set. With 6:47 to go in the first quarter. James Madison on top 3-0. Montana's opening drive. And the Grizzlies with third down and 10 at midfield. Bergquist tries to escape the rush and does. First down the sideline for Cole Bergquist.
What a great play there by the veteran 5th-year quarterback. He's played a lot of football. He's 30-5 in his career. He senses that blitz. Look at James Madison bring the linebackers, but his offensive line does a nice job of holding them up. Man-to-man, they all ran down the field, gave Cole a lane there to run, and he's fast enough, about a 4.7 40. He's not the 4.4 blazer that Landers is on the other side, but Bergquist very capable with his feet, and another big third down conversion for Montana.
2 third down conversions on this drive, and on 1st and 10, the handoff to Reynolds. Gets to the edge. Reynolds at the 20. Buries a man at the 5 and is knocked out of bounds at about the 2. Marcus Haywood came over and he took the punishment.
There's one thing that's going to jump out to you here for Montana. I talked about the speed of James Madison. Well, Montana, they've got some big boys up front. Watch their center, J.D. Quinn. He gets out, does a great job of opening that lane. That is a big-time play for a center. J.D., a transfer from the University of Oklahoma, where he started as a redshirt freshman. He left the program. Those kind of plays and those players are difference makers for Montana.
Reynolds. And this time Marcus Haywood comes up and redeems himself. On the last play, it was Reynolds laying the wood to Haywood. That time, Haywood stood his ground and stopped Reynolds at the 2. It'll be 2nd down and goal.
And through all of our coaches' conferences this year, Bob, I don't think I heard a coach say as many times as Bobby Houck said to us, you're going to really like this guy. You're going to really like this guy. You're going to really like this guy. And he really likes this very big, athletic offensive line. And he loves his blue-collar running back, Chase Reynolds, a very physical back, packed into his 195 pounds.
Play action. Bergquist rolls, flips to the back of the end zone. Too high. Dan Bowden was open in the back of the end zone, and Bergquist, it seemed Brock just put a little too much air under the football. That's
great analysis out of you, Bob. You're absolutely right. And sometimes you'd think those would be the easiest throws to make when those receivers are that open, and sometimes, especially down in the red zone and goal line, they can be the most difficult. That's a throw. He tried to lead his big tight end Bowden instead of just putting it right on him. They're so far so good on third downs, but none bigger than this one right here.
3rd and goal at the 2. Reynolds at the goal line. He's in. Touchdown, Montana.
It's really a great matchup tonight, Bob, of speed versus size. And James Madison has enough size as well, just like Montana has enough speed. But that's what jumps out to you on these first two drives. Montana's very big, they're very physical, they're very dominant up front. They do a great job there of giving Chase Reynolds a push, and he finishes for the touchdown.
James Madison opened with a 13-play drive. And Montana responds with a 10-play touchdown drive, and it's 7-3. The Grizzlies take the early lead with just under 5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Power football inside the 5-yard line. And Reynolds scores.
ESPN's College Football is presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We'll pick you up. And in part by Phillips Norelco. Phillips, sense and simplicity.
In the football championship subdivision, formerly known as 1AA, it's home field advantage through the playoffs, a 16-team playoff all the way up until the championship game next Friday night at Chattanooga. And the road team strikes with a touchdown to answer the field goal by the home team. It's 7-3 Montana over James Madison. And that was a heck of a responsive drive by the Grizzlies.
And you get into playoff football, much like the NFL, every one of these possessions becomes a premium, especially when the teams run the ball as well as both of these do. There's not going to be a lot of possessions. You got to maximize every opportunity you have.
Brady McKnight this time sends it deep, and McGee drops the ball, picks it back up, and then fumbles at the 20. It's loose. Still a scramble for it, and Montana thinks they have it. Caleb McSurdy knocked it free. The bottom of the pile, who's got it? The Grizzlies do.
I think Bobby Houck heard you, Bob, say, I think these coaches need to try it and kick deep to these guys. And they kick deep there to Scotty McGee. And the relentless effort there pursuing the football for Montana. And I talked to their coaches on the field. They really felt important tonight to start fast. They answered early, and boy, this would be a huge opportunity to get ahead.
Donnie Lasowski recovered the fumble. 1st and 10 at the 15-yard line. Reynolds turns the corner, cuts it back up inside. And he picks up about 8 yards on 1st down. Well, a moment ago, we were right down here in the red zone with Montana scoring the game's first touchdown. Here's a look at the touchdown run.
And look at the big fella, 6'7", 310 pounds, Taryn Hillsland, the right guard, much like their center Quinn earlier, just puts that big body out there. And James Madison has not seen the size with the athleticism that the Grizzlies possess up front. Right now, they are pushing that pile and really controlling the game at the line of scrimmage.
Reynolds again on 2nd and 2. This time he tries the left side at the 5. Rolls towards the goal line and in for the touchdown.
And again, you see the big boys pulling out in front. Also the fullback there, Bo Donaldson, a true freshman. You said earlier in the game, he's finishing those runs. Chase Reynolds, a very physical, aggressive running back, gets his pads down. His 21st touchdown now of this season.
And I think the ACC replay crew is going to take a look and see whether or not Reynolds was down inside the 1-yard line.
The previous play is under further review.
Again, it's a Missouri Valley Conference officiating crew, but it's an ACC group in the replay booth. Lands on the back of his own man, reaches for the goal line. I think because, Brock, that was ruled a touchdown on the field, it's going to be a tough one for replay to overturn. Does his rear end hit the ground in between the two
The
players?
previous play stands. It's a touchdown.
That was a quick review.
And not bad for a former wide receiver that played just 8-man football, did Chase. Came into this program as a receiver. As you said, they made the switch to running back. He didn't even start this year at running back. But over these last 7 weeks, he's been incredibly productive.
2 Chase Reynolds touchdown runs in 57 seconds. And Montana's got a 14-3 lead with 4 minutes to go here in the first quarter. What a start for the Grizzlies. The Big Sky champions right now putting a very big scare in the #1 seed. Already 2 touchdown runs here in the first quarter for Chase Reynolds. Here's number 2.
And we highlighted nearly all the offensive alignment, but in run game situations, you need your tight ends to block as well. Look at Steve Failer, the job he does on the all-league defensive end, Hassan Abdul-Wahed. He plays that run really well. There may have been a little bit of a hold, but enough to get that edge. If there's no call, there's no hold, and that's a big touchdown for the Grizzlies.
So Scotty McGee's kickoff fumble turns into 6. And this time it's Darius Ramsey on the return for James Madison. And he is popped at about the 30-yard line. Right now, let's check in with the studio, a Sports Center right now with Brian Burke.
All right, the Yankees' hot stove continues to be a bonfire. The latest, A.J. Burnett has agreed to a preliminary agreement on a 5-year contract with the Yankees worth a reported $82.5 million. Staying in New York, Giants running back Brandon Jacobs with that knee injury will miss Sunday night's game against the Cowboys. The Giants looking to avoid 2 losses in a row. Sports Center after our game. Now back to Virginia.
James Madison back to the offense. When Rodney Landers left the field, he had a 3-point lead. Now he finds himself in a 14-3 hole for James Madison's second possession. Landers with the deep pitch to the outside to Kirby Long. And he picks up 9 yards.
Some of these linebackers for Montana have tough duty tonight. You see, we've seen Tyler Corwin already on 3 different occasions. He's got to play both that run and that pitch at times, and he's got to react. He cannot hesitate. There he kept his eyes in just a little bit, was able to make up some ground and get that tackle, but they can't have those tackles 9 yards down the field.
Got a first down. Needed 1, picked up about 3 in Saturday Night Football on ESPN. First at 8 Eastern, one college football player will transcend greatness and become a legend. Bradford, McCoy, Tebow, who will win the Heisman Trophy? The presentation presented by Nissan. Then at 9 Eastern, catch the greatest game ever played presented by Sprint, a modern airing of the classic game between the Colts and Giants, digitally restored in high-definition color. The Heisman Trophy presentation presented by Nissan. The greatest game ever played presented by Sprint. Back-to-back ESPN on Saturday. Landers a give for Holloman again. Right into the teeth of that Montana defense. Mike Stadnick was the first man there to make the stop after a gain of 5.
I talked earlier in that last drive with James Madison when they had the football about really good spread option teams are good up front. What they also have are quarterbacks that can hold that ball out, that run tuck option. And you see Rodney Landers here, very adept, very skilled at putting that ball in the belly and either keeping it or tucking it. And that's really pushing the line of scrimmage, creating those 4- and 5-yard gains.
Landers will keep it this time. Boy, just lowers his head and his shoulders and bulls his way for a first down. He doesn't look like a quarterback when he carries the ball.
Now, that was really the comment that both coaching staffs made. There you see Jeff Durden, the offensive coordinator for James Madison, is that Rodney is really a running back who happens to play quarterback. He makes good enough decisions. He's accurate enough. But, yeah, his skill set, and that will be curious to see him at the next level. He will really be one of these H-back running backs because he has that kind of productivity at this level and that kind of skill.
This time he's got Griff Yancey out blocking. Gets inside the 40-yard line of Montana, down to about the 39 for 7 more yards. Maybe 8 more. Dorian Brooks, second team all Colonial Athletic Association at right guard helped pave the way as well.
And Jeff Durden said he was probably their best lineman, a very physically gifted, a lot like these linemen for Montana. They're big, they're strong, but they're athletic enough to get out in front of these running backs, get out into space. They talked about that greatest game ever. It's remarkable to look at even these college kids at the FCS level. 300 pounds, tremendous athletes, a little different up front than they were 30, 40 years ago for the greatest game.
Yancey finds a hole to the sideline. Inside the 20 before he's bumped out. They'll actually say he stepped out at the 22.
And one of my points earlier was tackling in the open field. There you see Sean Lebsock, the middle linebacker. You also see Colt Anderson in pursuit. But tackling tonight is going to be imperative for Montana. James Madison is going to get some yards. They're too productive of an offense, but they need to, if you're Montana, limit those yards. You can't miss those tackles.
16 runs on James Madison's first 18 plays from scrimmage. Inside of the final 30 seconds of the first quarter, here's Landers. And he picks up about 5 more yards. That might take us to the end of the first quarter as Craig Metler made the stop. And we're down to 13 seconds remaining in the opening 15 minutes.
And what you see at the end of that play, we got a Grizzly down.
It's Chase Palmer.
And they cannot afford to lose. That's their most productive defensive end. He leads this team in sacks. He leads in in tackles for loss. Bit of an undersized end at 6'3" and 220 pounds, but a very active football player. I was going to say, as you saw at the end of that last run, something else that the Montana coaches talked to us about, and that is finishing the tackles on Rodney Landers. They need to hit him. They need to be aggressive. He needs to feel the impact of their tackles. They can't be dragging him down 8 and 9 yards down the field. They want to get good body shots and good hits on this star quarterback.
Let's take a look. Number 42 in white on the right side of your screen. And it looks like his ankle just got rolled up on at the end of the play.
He's a Missoula kid, and you got to figure from Missoula, this game, they'll probably tape that ankle up. I'd be surprised if you don't see Jace Palmer back in this game.
Let's see if James Madison gets off one more snap before the quarter is over, as Landers will bring the offense at least to the line of scrimmage. They'll wind the game clock, and that should take us to the end of the quarter. And yes, now James Madison's just going to walk back over to the sideline, and they'll switch ends. What a first quarter it was, though, for Montana. A strong opening drive for a touchdown, a recovered fumble off the ensuing kick, another touchdown, and Bobby Houck's team's got a 14-3 lead. Welcome back to our NCAA Football Championship game presented on ESPN2 by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Start of the second quarter. Montana with a 14-3 lead over James Madison, but the Duke's driving. And Landers has an empty backfield to start the second quarter. 2nd down and 6. And he'll keep it. Landers gets to the edge and has a first down. Run out by Lebsock on the far side. Colt Anderson had a chance to bring him down closer to the line of scrimmage and missed another tackle. How good is that in the red zone?
Yeah, I'll tell you what else jumps out there. Red zone touchdowns as well, over 80% this season. I guess that is the stat there. 92% total, 80% scoring touchdowns. And again, he made the point about Colt Anderson. One thing that the defensive coaches for Montana told us, when they go spread, and it looks like actually Sean Lebsock, their middle linebacker, is down. That would again be another huge loss for this defense. But one point they made to us is that James Madison will run a lot of unbalanced out of their spread formation. And what that means, and what you saw in that last play, they actually move their left tackle over. So they actually go very heavy on one side, and it's very much a heavy run to that formation. That's why you saw Colt Anderson come out of the secondary. He read that key. He's just got to find a way to finish.
There's Jace Palmer being worked on the sideline. Sean Lepsock being worked on the other sideline. And here's number 10, the middle linebacker, running out Landers. And did he land on his left arm or his left elbow? Just like he kind of came down funny as Landers was stiff-arming him as they went out of bounds. So with Jace Palmer being taped up, he was honorable mention, all Big Sky. Lepsock was honorable mention, all Big Sky as well. It's your leading sack artist on the sideline and your fourth leading tackler now coming off injured as well.
And George Mercer has come in for Jace Palmer, and Tyler Pallure, the junior from Sammamish, Washington. If that name is familiar to football aficionados, his dad did play for the Saints about 6 years in the NFL, and his uncle Steve, also a very illustrious NFL career, a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. So Tyler Pallure getting a chance here in the semifinal game to make his mark.
First and 10, James Madison just outside the 10-yard line. Landers counter the opposite way. And that was almost like a modified bootleg. There was no help out in front, and that time Colt Anderson did deliver a shot on Rodney Landers.
And I thought Craig Paulson, the defensive coordinator for Montana, I said to you earlier, Colt Anderson used maybe the best adjective to describe Colt, and that was sudden. Everything he does is sudden. His decision making, his hitting. Now you'd like to see him maybe bring his arms a little bit more with that sudden impact, but he is a guy that flies all over this football field. Again, their leading tackler, three-time all-big league performer.
Good news for Montana fans as Jace Palmer is back in the game after getting taped up. Lepsock still on the sideline. Holloman, this time he's got blockers out in front, inside the 5. Brought down about a yard, maybe a yard and a half shy of a first down. Sets up a big third down.
I don't know what it is about these safeties nowadays. Maybe Troy Polamalu with the hair flying out of the back of the helmet. Maybe they just want to make it easy for you and your spotter tonight for these tackles. But Colt's got that long hair flowing, and he's a fun football player to watch.
Third down and a long 2 from the 4. High snap, pulled down by Landers at the goal line, pushes the pile, just short, but it's a first down. Stopped just short of the goal line, but it'll be first and goal inside the 1.
And he is like a running back, Bob. When he squares those shoulders, you can see it even from the press box. Once those shoulders start going downhill, it doesn't matter who you are as a defender. If you're catching him 3 yards beyond the line of scrimmage and he has a head of steam, that's 220-plus pounds coming downhill. He's going to move the pile.
First and goal, Landers on a keeper. The quarterback sneak, no signal, and it looks like Montana held them out. It'll be second down and goal.
If there's one real strength to this Grizzly defense outside of Colt Anderson, it's going to be their 2 interior defensive linemen, both redshirt seniors. Craig Metler, 50, Jesse Carlson, number 97. You can't see him, but I promised you they are underneath that scrum, using their leverage, pushing that pile. 2 very veteran defensive tackles that you like to have against also a very good interior group of linemen for James Madison.
Rodney Landers ran this season for 16 touchdowns. Eugene Holloman, the tailback, had 8 touchdown runs. And it'll be Holloman on second down. Leaps over the pile and in for a James Madison touchdown.
There's a reason they score 39 points a game. And how about another long drive? 13 plays, 69 yards, 7 minutes. And I think the big key, all runs. Not one pass on that drive. Controlling the line of scrimmage and controlling the clock.
Standard's point after is tacked on. So Rodney Landers and Eugene Holloman combine on a long, run-dominant drive. The touchdown for James Madison makes it a 4-point game. Our Division I Championship National Semifinal tonight, presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Bob Wischusen and Brock Dewar back on the campus of James Madison here in Virginia in the Shenandoah Valley at Bridgeford Stadium, and it is packed. The student section tonight, Brock, was filled up a solid hour before kickoff. The winner moves to Chattanooga and the national championship game. And tomorrow afternoon, it'll be either Richmond or Northern Iowa taking that other spot as we're down to the Final Four of the football championship subdivision, formerly known as 1AA. On the kickoff return. A hard run out to about the 26-yard line, and here's a look back at the James Madison touchdown.
We've sure talked a lot about the big fellas up front. They don't get near the credit. Their mom and dads all over America that say, you never talk about my son, the center or the guard. But Scott Lem, Dorian Brooks, their number 53, the right guard, just does do a great job, again, of pushing that pile of the leverage. And those are big athletic guys. Again, veteran people that have played a lot of football. The skill position get a lot of the credit, a lot of the glory. They score the touchdowns, but they're the ones that make the plays.
And to your point, you talk about the offensive linemen, the great blocks that they throw down. Our truck takes a shot of who? Landers and Holloman sitting on the sideline. There's the quarterback and the running back. And the moms of those offensive linemen at home going, they did it again. Bergquist rifles one over the middle. Mariani in the open field. Caught from behind at the 35-yard line.
And that's a great adjective to describe that throw. That was a rocket throw from the arm of Cole Bergquist. Does a nice job as well. You see that play action, hold those linebackers just enough, and he gets everything, every part of that body, all 220 pounds, rifles that football. And Mariani is their big playmaker. He is their speed. He's their dynamic receiver. 17 touchdowns. You like to get him in the open field.
He's at the top of your screen on first down. Instead, it's to the ground, and Reynolds has another crease into the second level for a gain of 8, maybe 9 yards, just shy of the 25-yard line.
We'll stick to the theme that tonight. How about the left guard, Colin Dow? I haven't called his name out tonight. A 3-time All-League performer himself. Watch the big guard here do a great job of sealing off that defensive tackle. And these are good defensive tackles. These are All-League performers for James Madison. Just a great matchup in the trenches tonight.
Again, he was hit behind the line. J.D. Skolnitsky came through to make first contact, a converted offensive lineman that found a crease. But to your point, Brock, it is just a big offensive line, isn't it, for Montana? At least at this level, what we formerly think of as 1AA, to have across the board 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", 300 to 325 pounds. Looks like an NFL offensive line.
And transfers from Oregon, Arizona State, Oklahoma, kids that wanted to come to Montana to play, and now they're putting themselves in the driver's seat for the national championship game.
Bergquist up the seam, and it's knocked away. Ferreter, the intended receiver, and that might simply be a drop. I'm not sure if a hand got in there to help knock it away. It was thrown just a hair behind Ferreter, then he couldn't adjust.
There are times there on those seam routes where the quarterbacks try to feel those defenders, and you could see Marcus Haywood, the free safety in center field, coming over to that seam route, and Cole Bergquist tries to put that on the backside shoulder of Ferreter. Those are plays you got to try to make. Darius Ramsey says, nope, not tonight.
Third down and a long 7, close to 8. Bergquist under pressure. He'll be sacked. Moats and Skolnitsky combine on the sack.
And you saw Chase Reynolds there come over to his quarterback asking about some of this protection. And that's just a situation where Brent Russom, the right tackle, does not get off the football. Arthur Moats is a very active defensive end. He's at his best doing just that. Not against the run, but when he can pin those ears back and get a pass rush, a highly productive 11 sacks, 8th in America in sacks per game. Very athletic defensive end.
45-yard field goal. No good. Brady McKnight, the freshman, missed it. And Montana comes away empty.
And you see Bobby Houck there. I believe that conversation was not about the field goal. He was still trying to figure out some of those protection errors. And on the kick here, just a low liner for Brady. For Brody McKnight, that ball never got up in the air, didn't get the opportunity. Quite a stage for a true freshman kicker tonight.
Landers has done all his damage on the ground, and James Madison's offense has been nothing but the rushing attack. And here they come again with a run up the middle. Eugene Holloman for a couple of yards. But what a momentum swing now in this game after back-to-back touchdowns were scored by Montana to take the 14-3 lead. A long touchdown drive engineered by Landers, helped out by Holloman, makes it a 14-10 game. And then a missed 45-yard field goal, and now James Madison has it back. They've scored on their first 2 offensive possessions and a chance to take the lead on this drive. Landers will run the option far side, fake the pitch, and come up about 4 yards shy of a first down. Brandon Fisher came up to make the stop along with Mike Stadnick, and Brandon Fisher's dad is in attendance tonight. And if you're wondering who his dad is, if you're a Tennessee Titans fan, he's been on your sideline for 14 years. Jeff Fisher, the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, with a couple of those Titans assistants around him protecting him. And he does make it to as many games as possible to watch Montana play. We were talking to Bobby Houck, the head coach, of course, of the Grizzlies, and he said that he's amazed sometimes how much Jeff Fisher is able to come and watch his son play in the middle of an NFL season. Landers on 3rd down. Makes another man miss, gets the first down. Out to about the 45-yard line. Chase Palmer had a chance to bring him down shy of the marker. And about a half hour before the game, head coach hanging out, and then Jeff Fisher was able to see Brandon before kickoff. You can see the family resemblance, can't you?
You can see a little bit of that intensity, can't you, from Brandon there pounding his fist. Just a great dad. That was Bobby Houck's other comment. And how telling is that? Let me just sit in the stands. I don't need a booth. I don't need to be away from anybody. Yes, I'm a 14-year coach, but put me in the stands with everybody else.
The 18th straight run for James Madison gets them about 8 more yards. Tyler Pallure made the stop. We asked Bobby Houck yesterday, how involved is Jeff Fisher? Do you hear from him? He said never. And maybe that's a lesson for the parents out there. A quick wide receiver hitch to the far side, dropped. Marcus Turner dropped the ball. Slightly underthrown by Rodney Landers. And let's head back to our studio in Rhineburg.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. Take a look at the ESPN family of networks over on ESPN. It's a good one brewing between the Hornets and Celtics. The Celts off to that great start in defending their title up 1. We're watching Montana and James Madison. Then on ESPNU, it is the national semis of the College Cup, St. John's in Maryland. They are scoreless in the first half. Back to Virginia.
All right, Ryan, in our winner go-home national semifinal, it's 3rd down and 2 for James Madison. Landers, the late pitch. Very close to a first down is Griff Yancey. Stadnick made the stop. It depends on the spot, and it looks like he just did get past the marker. Yeah, it's a first down for James Madison.
What a fast-moving first half. when both teams can run the ball effectively. And I talk about timing. I talked about timing in the spread with that zone option. There's also a great knack and feel for the option game. And you've said a couple times tonight, a late pitch. That's a skill set that is learned. That is much like in the passing game when you talk about rhythm and timing, very similar in the option game with the pitch. And Rodney Landers very adept at holding that ball to the last second and pitching to make a play.
Nice fake by Landers. And a good open field tackle. Keith Thompson may have saved a touchdown as Landers might have had the sideline and nothing but. As it is, it's a gain of 6. That's the 32nd running play, or rather the 32nd overall play for James Madison in their 29th run.
And you said good tackle. I think I'm going to say great tackle when you're 5'9" and not even 180 pounds. That's a heck of a play.
Ward picks up a first down. Well, that was a pass that looked like a run as he gets down to the 23-yard line. The first completed pass for James Madison.
This Montana defense has been on the field an awful lot in this first half. You see a lot of hands on the hips. Got to find a way here to get a stop. Time of possession heavy for James Madison tonight.
Solomon on the 9th play of the drive inside the 15. Close to another James Madison first down. Colt Anderson in on the stop, and Colt Anderson is hurt. He came up gimpy, and now he's holding his left knee. And this would be the worst of all possible losses for Montana. Colt Anderson is the leading tackler for the Grizzlies. Came into tonight with 103 tackles this season, closing in on 300 tackles in his Montana career. First team All Big Sky. Bobby Houck told us that Colt Anderson doesn't look like much getting off the bus, but we have a lot of NFL scouts that have come to take a look at our offensive linemen just because of their size. And he said of those NFL scouts, Colt Anderson, probably outside of the offensive lineman, has their attention more than any other player on their team.
When you talk to those scouts, Bob, there's a couple things they look at. Yes, they look at just the measurables, the size, the speed, but they also look at productivity. And when a kid can be as productive as Colt Anderson has been, a 3-time All-Leaguer, nearly 300 tackles, and that is a great sign. Again, it looks like maybe a high ankle type deal, a lot like Jace Palmer.
Take another look. You can see in the bottom right of your screen, 19 in white. He just immediately started to grab his knee.
That looked like a leg whip type of deal, where maybe that was a contusion rather than a sprain or a tear. Very physical football game tonight, Bob.
First down for James Madison at the 13. Traps to Yancey, and that Montana front was not fooled. Brandon Fisher and Sean Lebsock come up to combine on the hit. Let's take again a look at Colt Anderson's injury. Now watch the left side of your screen, number 19. See if we can pick it up. You can see the helmet rattle around as well. It's hard to pick up where his knee got hurt, though. The middle goes Landers. Lost the football. Montana has the recovery. Tyler Pallure comes out of the pile with the loose ball.
The great equalizer, Bob. You've seen it in championship games this year already in college football. Turnovers. I look back to that Buffalo-Ball State game. When you fumble that football around, you give the team an opportunity. And how about the backup, Tyler Pallure, the big fumble recovery for the Grizz.
ESPN's college football, brought to you by Twisted Tea, true iced tea taste in a hard tea.
The second lost fumble in the first half for James Madison. And even without Cole Anderson, their star safety on that last play, Montana turns over the Dukes in the red zone with 4.5 minutes to go before halftime. It's back to the offense for Montana with a 4-point lead. Reynolds across the 15-yard line. Well, James Madison leads Brock in time of possession by over 10 minutes. Total yards, they lead by about 50, but they trail by 4. And why? They're -2 in the turnover ratio here in the first half. And is there any statistic in sports more telling than turnovers relating to wins and losses in football?
No, the trend line is amazing, and Montana building on what they've done all year. You said earlier +14. Now you're +16 on the season. Give yourself a great chance to win when you can win that turnover battle.
Reynolds again. Boy, somehow broke a tackle in the backfield and still picked up a yard. That's as impressive a 1-yard run as you're ever going to see.
I think both of these teams, don't you just see it tonight from the press box? Just playing very hungry football, playing very aggressive. And these running backs, and I'm going to count Rodney Landers as a running back, they do a great job of going north to south. There's not a lot of dancing. There's not a lot of east to west. They're going to get that ball, and they're going to slash downhill.
3rd down and a long one. Close to 2 for the first down. Play clock's down to 2. They'll have to call timeout. Bergquist is angry.
Timeout. Charge the University of Montana. This will be a 30-second timeout.
We'll step aside. Montana with a 14-10 lead, calling their first timeout in the first half. A big 3rd down and 2 coming up for Montana in our NCAA Division I Championship Semifinal, presented on ESPN2 by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Bob Wischusen and Brock Ewart in a very chilly night in the Shenandoah Valley here in Virginia. The crowd has been on their feet for the most part, certainly the student section, the whole night. We are too. Mom, they'll be home tomorrow, but they're cold tonight. Montana trying to keep this drive alive after the fumble recovery inside the 10-yard line. Off the timeout. Play action for Bergquist. Well protected. And a drop. Don Bowden had it right in his hands. And Bowden couldn't haul it in at the 20-yard line.
That's disappointing for Rob Fennessy up here in the booth. Makes a great call. James Madison commits a lot of defenders to that box. And part of the challenge there for Dan Bowden is he stopped on his route. Too much time to think there. Just continue on that flat route. A great job of play action. Cole does an excellent job there of not leading Dan, putting it right on his belt buckle. That's a 3rd down. They need to convert. And now they get a tired defense right back on the football field.
Dan Bowden, normally a very sure-handed tight end, and a directional punt, trying to keep it away from McGee. And it takes a somewhat Montana roll into plus territory to the 47-yard line of James Madison. So the first punt for either team brings us to Sunday night with Matt Weiner hosting Bowl Mania on ESPN. We'll rank all 34 bowl games in regards to how confident Jesse Palmer is in them winning their game. Plus, Chris Lee and Kirk will make their picks in a game day segment. Todd McShay will give us some under-the-radar players to keep an eye on during the bowl season and who will likely be playing in the NFL next year. Bowl Mania, presented by Assurant Health on ESPN, Sunday night at 8:30 Eastern. Great field position for James Madison after the first punt of the game for either team. To the near side, Patrick Ward, strung out and brought down right at midfield. Brandon Fisher came up and made the stop.
What a nice play there by Brandon Fisher of stringing that play out. His dad would like that play out of the undersized linebacker. He was a safety, but because of graduation And other losses, they moved him to linebacker, a very bright kid as well, a 4.0 student in business at Montana, an all-around terrific student athlete.
A fake to McGee. And Landers very close to a first down, brought down maybe a yard shy as we come up on 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go here in the first half. And now Landers is shaken up.
We talked about the loss of Colt Anderson being critical to Montana. Goes without saying, this is Superman in the Shenandoah Valley. Oh, and you see the ankle, there's no doubt about it. The ankle gets caught up underneath the tackle again. Yeah, that right ankle gets twisted underneath the pile, and you can tell instantly when a player reacts that way, he's in a lot of pain.
So the quarterback change nightmare for James Madison. They do not want to lose Rodney Landers. Drew Dudzik, a sophomore, and a different type quarterback will come in and run the offense, at least for now. Landers limps off to the sideline. He is the leading rusher at the quarterback spot for James Madison, replaced by a sophomore. This season, only 11 completions for Drew Dudzik. 3rd down and 1. First down carry. Dudzik on a keeper. A nice fake to Holloman. He almost lost it.
He sure did. And this will be curious now, under 2 minutes to play, and when you're running the ball as much as James Madison is, this clock is going to start to become a factor on a very critical drive before the half.
James Madison does have all 3 timeouts remaining. And again, Dudzik gets loose. And he's brought down just shy of another first down. He made Palmer and Lebsack miss.
Going to work on that ankle there. And again, I think this speaks to the quality of this group and this offensive line up front for James Madison.
Madison preserving their timeouts, coming up on 1 minute to go here in the first half. 2nd down and a half yard. Dudzik picks up the first down, and that will at least stop the clock until they replace the ball. With 1 minute and 1 second to go before halftime.
I think Mickey Matthews, you see him there, he's looking back at the sidelines. That's never a good sign when you take the sock off. Typically, you'd hope they would just spat. They just tape over that shoe. They're looking at that foot and ankle. I believe Drew Dudzik's heart is probably pounding at a rate he's never felt before in his life.
This time Dudzik under center on first down. Play action. Looks to throw. Buying time. A bullet to the sideline. Keith Thompson claims he came away with the football, but it's incomplete. Almost an interception for Keith Thompson. That's only the 20th passing attempt this year for Dudzik.
A little contact there before the ball gets to the wide receiver. Again, they do have 3 timeouts, Bob, but just 31 seconds. That's the challenge when you can't effectively throw the football. These 5- and 6-yard chunks are nice, but now time of possession becomes critical here before the half.
Dudzik wants the big one over the middle into traffic, and that one's intercepted. Andrew Swink, in hand-to-hand combat inside the 5-yard line, was able to take it away, and that is his first interception this season.
You can see the coaching staff for JMU say, just don't force that football there, Drew, but that's a difficult position for a backup to come in. When you throw that football late down the middle of the field, more than likely bad things happen for your offense. A great job there. You called it hand-to-hand combat. Very physical play. Andrew Swink going up, getting that football. Montana's going to go to halftime with the lead tonight.
Well, the Colonial Offensive Player of the Year moments ago, Rodney Landers, with all but the shoe off the left ankle, heads back to the locker room. Drew Dudzik, the backup quarterback, only a sophomore on the headset. Talk about what just went wrong. The third turnover of the first half for James Madison, their second turnover in the red zone. And Montana, with a run to Chase Reynolds, will head to the locker room with a lead at halftime, in spite of the fact that James Madison had the ball for 20 of the 30 minutes here in the first half.
And Montana will get the ball to start the second half. I think that's as critical as anything. Going into a half and how you come out of a half, huge momentum swings.
The first of two national semifinals this weekend. The winner goes to Chattanooga, and Montana has the lead at halftime. Now it's Ryan Berg and our football report at halftime. Welcome back to this NCAA football championship game presented on ESPN2 by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. It is the Final Four in the football championship subdivision, formerly known as 1AA. Montana with a 14-10 lead over James Madison. Bob Wischusen and Brock Ewart here in the Shenandoah Valley. A chilly night, and a night to just hear shoulder pads cracking helmets, because this has been nothing but running play after running play by both teams. We had 51 running plays in the first half and only 3 completed passes.
And one other thing jumps out: no penalty flags. These refs are letting them play. It's a physical game. You've seen a lot of guys go down nicked up with injuries in this first half, and that's what happens when you run the football.
Done on
as both of these teams do. The offensive lines for both James Madison and Montana controlled the line of scrimmage. Chase Reynolds, you see, lowering those pads, getting into the end zone. And James Madison answered themselves, but the Achilles heel in that first half, Bob, you look at all the statistics, turnovers. You said it earlier, if there's no more telling stat in football, turnovers will hurt you. You see Drew Dudzik warming up. We have not seen Rodney Landers come out of the locker room. What a critical of all injuries tonight on this football team and on this football field for both teams. An injury to Superman Rodney Landers really hurts James Madison.
Mariani to start the second half. Breaks a tackle. Great return by Mariani. Out of bounds at about the 45-yard line, so good field position for Montana as we take a look at our Home Depot coaching adjustments.
Sometimes there's a lot of schematical things you can talk about and draw up at halftime. I think it's pretty simple for Mickey Matthews and his staff at James Madison. That is take care of the football. And 2 red zone turnovers really hurt. The interception, the fumble by Landers. There you see the late interception. The coaching adjustment is simply take care of the football. 0-3 right now is James Madison in that turnover ratio. They're going to have to fix that in the second half if they want to have a chance to win.
Wide receiver screen to Ferreter. He's brought down after a gain of about 4 by Jamie Vini. A lot of inexperience at the linebacking core for James Madison. How much pressure is on Nelson, Vini, a couple of freshmen to hold firm in the middle?
And how much pressure on this first drive when you have a backup quarterback that's warming up on your sidelines. You turn it over before half, as I said, going in. This first drive critical to set the stage here in the second half.
Chase Reynolds pounds up the middle for about 3 yards, sets up a big 3rd and 3. Jaron Griffin made the stop for James Madison along with Pat Williams.
Yeah, the middle for James Madison, you're talking true freshman in Venny, redshirt freshman in Nelson, redshirt freshman Pat Williams. So a lot of youth, but they play fast. Defensive coordinator George Barlow says, I want to try to keep it as simple as I can. I don't want to get out schemed with my simplicity, but I want my kids to react and play fast.
Bergquist with a strike and a first down just inside the 45-yard line to Mariani.
And you'll remember the first drive for Montana tonight, a third and medium situation, exactly the same play. Mariani does a great job of understanding where those sticks are, and he comes in and finds a soft spot of that zone. That's a timing play between quarterback and receiver. You could see if he was going to be late, that free safety is flying in there, but excellent execution on a critical third down.
Bergquist back to the air. Again, it's underneath. Maybe a couple of yards shy of a first down. He finds his tight end, Steve Failer. Again, the winner tonight moves on to Chattanooga. Tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock on ESPN, you can see Richmond and the 3-seed Northern Iowa. Only the top 4 seeds in the NCAA Division I championship are actually seeded. The other players, but the other teams are not given seeds. Richmond pulled the upset. They beat Appalachian State to advance to one of our 2 national semifinals this weekend. Delayed handoff. Reynolds very close to a first down. Jaron Griffin made the stop. Griffin's a great story. 13 in purple for James Madison. Started all season at the weak side linebacker spot, or that weak safety spot. But earlier this year was sidelined when a virus infected his right eye. The doctors really didn't know what was going on. They actually determined, you can see where's the shield, that he got chicken pox in his eye. Ouch. It's one of the strangest stories as they bring the chains out to measure. But he came close, and the doctors were concerned and told him during about a 2-week stay in the hospital, you might have to prepare yourself to potentially not get your vision back in your right eye. And so it was touch and go. His family holding a vigil with him at the hospital. So Jaron Griffin was able to recover from his injury. He is back, but Rodney Landers is coming back to the sideline for James Madison out of uniform, as you just saw. So Superman might be done for the night. On first down, dragging tacklers inside the 30, down to about the 27, a 7-yard gain.
You see some of the diversity in Rob Fennessy's scheme here for Montana, not just lining up in 2 tight ends, not just spreading the field out, actually getting to some traditional I formation there, running the ISO play. That is a fullback and offensive lineman's dream when they can line up, run that play downhill. And I'll tell you, the size of Montana continues to overwhelm some of this speed for James Madison.
Again, 2 tight ends in an I formation. Play action for Bergquist. Throws a deep ball back to the far side of the field. Caught! Touchdown! Chase Reynolds scores for the 3rd time tonight.
What a great call. Boy, I like that call. I like using all your weapons. You get into 2 tight ends, you could see that very clearly. After the play fake, Chase Reynolds uses that speed. The former wide receiver turned running back, runs that wheel route. And that time, Cole does a great job of putting enough air on that football, leading Chase, and what a big touchdown to start the 2nd half.
Montana has James Madison on the ropes, the #1 team, not only in the polls, but the #1 seed in this tournament. Trails the 4 seed here in the 3rd quarter. Our NCAA football national semifinal tonight is being broadcast in high definition on ESPN2 HD. 3 touchdowns for Chase Reynolds, and Montana on the road as the #5 team in America and the #4 seed in the football championship subdivision playoffs. taking on the #1 seed and top-ranked team in the country, James Madison. But James Madison now, at least for the time being, without their quarterback, Rodney Landers, and down by 11, short kickoff. Patrick Ward lost the football. Another recovery for Montana. They've got it again. The second time tonight that James Madison has fumbled the ball on a kickoff return, and right back to the offense goes Montana.
That's Patrick Ward, the senior there. Some of your veteran guys tonight, Scotty McGee, Rodney Landers, Patrick Ward. They played a lot of football here. And you see the frustration on the sidelines as well. That's now 4 turnovers that Montana has created and really have an opportunity to open this game, tear this game wide open in the second half.
Ryan Featherston not only knocked it away, but recovered it. Here goes Reynolds. Inside the 30, down again to about the 27-yard line. 3 yards shy of a first down. Well, here's a look back at that last Montana touchdown.
And when you can run it for 7 yards, as you saw on that first down, you set up all kinds of creative play action. And here you see Rob Fennessy, the coordinator, dial up the play. Look how long this throw is across the football field. That throw takes some serious arm strength. And Chase Reynolds does a great job of getting lost within that line of scrimmage, but not buying too much time. That's a timing play, and he does a great job of timing that up with his quarterback. And how about the arm strength of Bergquist to throw that football all the way across the field for the touchdown.
Play action again for Bergquist. Flips it underneath. Caught by Failer. He's got a first down. Reynolds came off before that last play with a problem with his helmet, and it looks to be solved. Looks like he's about to head back in, but Cole Bergquist just took a hit as he released this pass.
He sure did. He did a great job. You saw there with the arm. He wanted to throw that ball. That's a little bit of a late shot, and I think some of the mates up front don't like that. I like that offensive lineman sticking up for your quarterback, but a great job there of not forcing that ball deep down the field, instead taking your outlet, converting, moving those chains.
Chase Reynolds still on the sideline. 1st and 10. The handoff this time goes to Andrew Schmidt. He's up the middle inside the 20-yard line. Pat Williams came up and made the stop. That's a gain of nearly 5 yards for Andrew Schmidt, and back comes Chase Reynolds.
One of the fears of George Barlow, the defensive coordinator, James Madison, and Mickey Matthews, is they wanted to make Montana one-dimensional. They felt like their athleticism, their strength defensively was if they could put Montana in long down situations, 2nd and long, 3rd and long. But when you can run the football as effectively as Montana does tonight, you nullify some of that speed and athleticism.
Reynolds on 2nd down into a pile at about the 16-yard line. Marcus Haywood came up to make the stop. About 3 yards shy of a first down. And for James Madison, Brock, how important from a momentum swing standpoint is it to, at worst, surrender a field goal here and keep it a 2-possession game?
Well, you got a freshman kicker, remember, for Montana that's missed 1 field goal already tonight. So it's critical. It's critical, Bob, after you've hurt yourself with these turnovers, to rise up and stem that momentum. Chase Reynolds over 100 yards now for the 8th game in a row for the Grizzlies.
Bergquist to throw. On 3rd down, goes to the goal line. Touchdown. Steve Failer, the tight end, got loose. Another turnover turned into points by Montana.
And how about these tight ends tonight for Montana? In the run game, now in the pass game. Bobby Houck, he knows the importance of that touchdown. You've got a backup QB coming in on the other side. Now you go up 28-10 and dial up, as I said, another creative play-action pass. Great little wrinkles here from Rob Fennessy in this Grizzly offense.
A 3-score lead for Montana. 2 touchdowns in 2 minutes and 52 seconds. Montana tonight has taken advantage of every gift that James Madison has given them. 4 turnovers turned into points. And Bobby Houck's team with a 3-score lead.
ESPN's college football, brought to you by Phillips Norelco, Phillips, Sense and Simplicity, and Pontiac. Vote now for the Pontiac game-changing performance of the year at ESPN.com, keyword Pontiac.
The first career touchdown catch for Steve Failer, protected by that offensive line and helped by great play-action fakes by Cole Bergquist. And a fumbled kickoff return turns into 7. And now whistles blow this kickoff dead at the line. Our first flag of the night thrown back at the 30-yard line. Montana offsides on the kickoff.
We have a dead ball. Delay a game on the kicking team, kicking the ball before it's blown ready for play. 5-yard penalty.
And that is your first penalty of the night. I don't think I've seen that called. Have you ever seen that called? You kicked it before I blew the play ready?
Well, normally once the official puts it in the hands of the kicker and the kicker puts it on the tee and the officials back off.
I think the officials wanted to get on TV tonight. They need to get their airtime and they need to throw some flags. So I'm going to tell you when to kick, kicker. Otherwise, it's a 5-yard delay. I have never seen that called.
I don't think Freddie McKnight, the place kicker for Montana, had ever seen it called either, because he was,
I don't think the special
giving
teams,
his 2 cents to the field judge as he came off to the near side.
And the special teams coach, who happens to be the head coach at Montana, that's Bobby Houck. One of the coaches, you see that in college football at times, head coaches that take on that responsibility of leading the special teams, and Bobby Houck also gave that official an earful. It's a nickel and dimer for the first flag of the night.
McKnight again sends it short into no man's land. And out across the 46-yard line goes Mike Cawson, the tight end. And let's go back to the touchdown.
Great play action fake, great action. It's not always those linemen and quarterbacks that sell play action. Watch the receiver come in motion and look at that cornerback there. That's Evan McCullough, their senior corner. He sees that motion go away and he freezes just for a second. And that second is the difference for Steve Failer's first career touchdown. Again, great ingenuity offensively by the Grizzlies.
Can Drew Dudzik, the backup quarterback without Rodney Landers in the game, bring his team back on a keeper here? Across the 50 to the 49 of James Madison. And Saturday is football night on ESPN. First at 8 Eastern. We'll have another legend created. Bradford, McCoy, Tebow, they're the finalists, but only one will walk away a winner in the Heisman Trophy presentation presented by Nissan. And then we'll look at some legends. At 9 Eastern, catch the greatest game ever played presented by Sprint, airing the classic game of the Colts and Giants, digitally restored in high-definition color. The Heisman Trophy presentation presented by Nissan, the greatest game ever played, presented by Sprint, Saturday night on ESPN. Holloman, very close to a first down. And can I complain for a moment? Is that okay with you?
Sure.
All right. I hate that play on special teams. I held it in for 2 plays because we had a promo to do, and you were going to do your replay of the touchdown. And are you that scared of the return men for the opposition than you are willing to pooch it forward and just give up the 46-yard line?
Well, they fumbled the last pooch kick. Can you give Bobby Houck that credit?
Well, Bobby Houck gets all the credit in the world for his team being up 28-10, but I guess I'm a field position guy, because now 1 first down and you're at the plus 44. Holloman breaks free. Down the sideline goes Eugene Holloman. Inside the 20, knocked out of bounds at the 16-yard line for a James Madison first down.
You're going to see the right tackle here. Terrence Apted does a great job. He's just out of the screen there. He does a great job. Again, a big body getting in front, sealing that edge, and allowing Holloman to use his speed. Something to watch here now with the backup quarterback that comes in. Watch the body language of Montana defensively and see if they let up now that Superman's on the sidelines. And watch James Madison's other players, their running backs, their linemen. Sometimes they will rise to the occasion when the backup comes in.
Dudzik this time gives for Yancey. And he is brought down at about the 11-yard line by Cole Anderson. So now the headset on for the rest of the night, it looks like, for Rodney Landers, the leading rusher at the quarterback spot for James Madison. This season, he ran for 16 scores and threw for 21. And all of that production is now on the bench.
And again, an offense that runs the football at great challenge when you're down 18 points midway through the third quarter.
Alleman can't find space this time. Shan Schillinger came up and made the stop.
And we put up the statistics earlier about the red zone efficiency for James Madison this season. 81% of the time when they've gotten into the red zone, they have scored touchdowns this season. 92% coming away with scores. And you'll remember tonight the two red zone interceptions, or turnovers, the fumble and the interception, just 1 for 3 in efficiency tonight. Credit Montana, who also this season been very good in that area, 41%. One of the real strengths, you talk about turnovers, I look at red zone touchdown defense. Real telling for your defense. Can they rise up and stem the tide in the red zone?
A keeper for Dudzik on third down. Maintains his footing at the 5 and gets in the end zone. What balance by the backup quarterback.
One of the points of emphasis when this defense comes off the sidelines for Montana, Craig Paulson, the defensive coordinator, is going to see I told you so. Just because he's a backup quarterback and he threw an ugly interception coming into halftime, this is a well-coached football team. They will coach up their backup quarterback, Drew Dudzik, at halftime, and he will come out and perform in the second half, and he performs on his first opportunity.
So an answer for Dudzik and the James Madison offense. What great balance to take that hit, somehow plant your foot, stay on your feet, and score. And James Madison's back in the game. Drew Dudzik scores. James Madison cuts the lead to 11. Our Division I Championship Semifinal presented here on ESPN2 by Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Bob Wischusen and Brock Eward at James Madison. It is a cold night in the Shenandoah Valley, but the kids are staying warm. They've been up dancing all night. The student section here at Bridgeford Stadium was filled to capacity at least an hour before kickoff. Then the end zone filled up. This is a school where they love their football team. There is not an empty seat in this stadium, but it's been Montana quieting this crowd for the most part.
Isn't playoff football great? There's just something about the sudden death nature of playoff football that I think amplifies this already excitable crowd. And I think one of the biggest bands, Bob, that I maybe have ever seen in college football. They take up the entire section down by the goalposts.
Short kick down the sideline, and this will go out of bounds.
You probably don't like that either.
Well, to me, that's a mistake. As James Madison hands the ball to Montana at the 40-yard line.
And we looking to take the ball at the 40-yard line. First.
All right, let's take a look now at our Coke Zero game track. Chase Reynolds has been the story offensively for Montana. 2 touchdowns on the ground, 1 through the air, and Montana is +4 in the turnover department, and they have an 11-point lead.
When you get this kind of field position, watch out for the big play. They put in Javin Sobrano down there at the bottom of the screen, top of the screen. He's their big play threat as well.
Reynolds goes back to work on the ground. Breaks a couple of tackles and gets to the 45-yard line and picks up 5 yards. And let's check in with Ryan Burke.
All right, Bob, checking out the ESPN family of networks over on ESPN. The Celtics in control now over the Hornets, 79-67 into the fourth quarter there. On ESPNU, it is still scoreless. St. John's and Maryland College Cup National Semi. The winner gets North Carolina. And, of course, our game, a 9-point ball game. Back to Bob in Virginia.
All right, Ryan, thanks very much. Reynolds strung out and loses a couple. Another chance for James Madison's defense now to get off the field as Arthur Moats made the stop.
And one of the first times I can remember tonight where James Madison really set the tone at the line of scrimmage. You've seen a Montana front that's really pushed this pile all night long. But Arthur Moats and company there rises up on 2nd and 5, pushes that line of scrimmage back, and it's created now a 3rd and long situation. Remember, this is where they wanted Montana. This is where they feel they can use some of that speed up front to their advantage.
Montana's 5 for 7 on 3rd down. Bergquist with a shovel pass. A 1st down and then some for Reynolds. As Rob Fennessy, the offensive coordinator for Montana, called a great game tonight.
You just took the words right out of my mouth. And how about Rob Schulte there? Does a great job. Bobby Houck said, you know what you're going to love about our guys? He said that about 8 times. You're going to love the way my receivers block. And you're going to see Rob Schulte come into the screen here, number 8, and he does a great job of sealing. That's enough. On a 3rd and 8 situation in green grass, your receivers do enough. And again, great call by Montana.
This time Bergquist keeps it. Down the sideline goes the quarterback. Inside the 10-yard line before he's run out. 1st and goal at the 9. And Bergquist is shaken up. James Madison has already lost the most dangerous player for either team in the game, their quarterback, Rodney Landers. And now Bergquist has to shake off that shot.
How about J.D. Quinn, the center there, pancake block, leading his quarterback out, the Oklahoma transfer that's found a home in Missoula. You can't see him in the picture there. I promise you, folks, the 300-pounder came around the end and buried James Madison, and huge play now to get you in the red zone.
Reynolds shut down. Maybe a gain of a yard. Sam Daniels made the stop.
And here you're going to see the center again. He's going to come out and watch the athleticism. Actually, the D. Wow, there you go. The DB dives at your knees. What are you going to do if you're 300 pounds? You're going to lay right on top of him. You're going to create some more room for your quarterback. That's one thing they told us about Bergquist. Sneaky fast. Not electric. Not a 4-5 guy, but fast enough, 4-7. He's made plays with his feet. He's put Montana in great position here.
Play clock down to 5. The ball fumbled by Bergquist, and he was lucky to find it again. As he came away from center, the football popped right up in the air. And Montana came that close to their first turnover.
One thing I'm surprised you haven't seen a lot tonight. A lot of times when your center is as active in movement as J.D. Quinn has been tonight, you will see some more of that, some more fumbled snaps, because that center's trying to get out and reach to blocks or get out in front and pull like he's done tonight. But again, another heady heads-up play by the 5th-year senior to realize the play's discombobulated.
3rd and goal. Bergquist to the end zone. Caught for the touchdown. Mike Farrader runs a little post to the back chalk. And a perfect strike again thrown by Bergquist.
I think Coach Fisher likes that one. Either that or I think he's trying to stay warm with the little bounce in the crowd. This night is getting colder, but all Cole Bergquist is doing is getting hotter. His 3rd touchdown pass of the night. How about the balance of the Grizzlies tonight? Being able to run it at will, setting up their play action, and even dropping back and throwing touchdowns.
Flags down on the point after attempt. The right side of the line flinched for Montana, but I think it was the left side of the defensive front for James Madison that might have influenced it by jumping.
From both sides on the defense, number 93. That penalties decline. PAT is good.
You know, a lot of times, Bob, when you get down into the red zone, defenses like to play quarters coverage where all these defenders got a quarter of the field. Watch the receiver do a great job of holding this safety, allowing Ferreter to run the post behind. Just excellent, again, execution, guessing on the coverage you're going to see. Tight end does enough there to hold the safety, the post route over the top. Great precision in your passing game.
Talking to the coaches for Montana, Brock, they describe Cole Bergquist as a manage-the-game quarterback. He gets us in our stuff. He doesn't, quote-unquote, screw the game up, for lack of a better phrase. Well, tonight, he's been the player of the game. He has been perfect. 3 touchdowns. He has engineered drives. I think 135 yards is almost misleading. He's 8 for 8 for 90 yards in this quarter.
You know, it was great. One thing about this level of football that you really like, not only do NFL coaches sit in the crowd, but you also stay with the team. We were with Montana at the hotel, and usually professional teams or other Division I teams, they're in separate areas of the hotel. They're cordoned off. Their rooms are right next to our rooms. And I'm walking down the hall today with Cole before the game. I said, how you doing? I'm doing great. I can't wait to play. You could sense just the anticipation and the joy that these kids have playing, the atmosphere and environment that Bobby Houck and his staff have created. That's why they've been to these playoffs 16 years in a row. Great football up in Missoula.
Again, the short kick to the 20-yard line. And Griff Yancey brings it back to about the 37. Sunday night, Matt Weiner hosts Bowl Mania on ESPN. We'll rank all 34 bowl games in regards to how confident Jesse Palmer is in them winning their game. Plus, Chris, Lee, and Kirk will make their picks in a game day segment. Todd McShay will give us some under-the-radar players to keep our eyes on in this bowl season, who Todd thinks will likely be playing in the NFL next year. All that and more during Bowl Mania, presented by Assurant Health on ESPN Sunday night at 8:30 Eastern. Cole Anderson, just saw, might be one of those under-the-radar players in 1AA. Eugene Holloman, slow developing play, picks up about 4 yards. Austin Mullins on the stop. Bob Wischusen and Brock Ewert here at James Madison. As we approach the end of the third quarter, Montana has had an answer every single time tonight. They have been challenged by James Madison, the number 5 team in America and the number 4 team in the bracket. First down for Marcus Turner on a little wide receiver screen.
You see James Madison doing what they have to do, in my opinion. They've got to go up tempo here. They don't have time to huddle and run the football as much as they have been. You're pushing into the fourth quarter now. You've got to go to your up tempo, which again is a little bit out of the character of what they like to do.
And it's Drew Dudzik, the backup quarterback, on in place of Rodney Landers. Dudzik will keep. Breaks a tackle. Picks up nearly 7 yards inside the 40 down to the 38-yard line, and that should take us to the end of the third quarter. Dudzik will try and hustle to get one more play off, but his team will back up with 5 seconds to go in the quarter. 3 quarters in the books. The winner moves on from this national semifinal to the Chattanooga championship game next Friday night. We head to the fourth quarter. Montana on top. You saw Jeff Fisher, the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, here at James Madison, watching his son Brandon Fisher's team play against the top seed in America, James Madison, and we head to the fourth quarter. It's a 3-score lead for Montana. Dudzik with blockers out in front picks up a first down. Well, they've got playoff football in the NFL. They've got playoff football at the football championship subdivision level, formerly known as 1AA. It's a shame they can't figure it out at the top level of college football, isn't it?
Yeah, it just brings a certain sense of urgency, doesn't it? You just feel that in the stadium tonight. But whatever level of playoff football, there's a couple things that championship teams do. They don't hurt themselves, and they have great balance, and that's what you've seen out of Montana tonight. They've forced the turnovers, and offensively they've been able to run it effectively. That set up their play-action game. And then you've even seen the X factor, in my opinion, tonight, and that is the passing game. The efficiency that Cole Bergquist is playing with tonight has been awfully impressive.
What has impressed you the most about the play calling, I would say, of Rob Fennessy, the offensive coordinator for Montana?
I would say the diversity in scheme. You knew personnel-wise that they would move in and out of different personnel groupings, but it's the play calling at the right times. It's those third down calls. Some of that ingenuity that I hit on earlier, it's been fun to watch from the booth.
Yancey finds a crease and picks up a first down near the 20-yard line. Well, that sense of urgency starting to build for James Madison as we are in the fourth quarter. They're a running football team, Brock, so it's hard for them, I would think, to come from 3 scores down in the final 15 minutes.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think that's the concern on Mickey Matthews' face, and you see the plays there, the disparity between rush and pass. That clock becomes your enemy when you can't throw it effectively.
And when you're without your starting quarterback and star player, Rodney Landers. Drew Dudzik has done a heck of a job in a backup capacity, though, and he picks up 6 yards up the middle. Brandon Fisher, Jeff Fisher's son, cut him down at the 15-yard line.
And we talked about him earlier. How about one of 4 National Football Foundation scholar athletes coming out of high school, a brilliant student, a guy that handpicked Montana. His family has a cabin out there at a lake in Montana. He said, I love to hunt, I love to fish, I want to go play football and go to school and hunt and fly fish in Montana. And he's enjoyed an illustrious career to this point.
Dudzik with a cutback. Another first down inside the 10-yard line, so it's 1st and goal.
And he also said that Dad would be able to come next week. Obviously, Nashville to Chattanooga, in-state there, a home game in many regards for the Fisher family. This defense for Montana, they've done a great job in the red zone tonight. If they can find a way to get a stop here, that 35-17 becomes very daunting for James Madison.
Up the middle, down to about the 3-yard line. 2nd down and goal. Cole Anderson on the tackle. And now we've got an injured Montana Grizzly. George Mercer, who came in tonight in place of Jace Palmer when Palmer went out. He's a backup defensive end, and it looks like his knee might have been twisted.
A lot of leg injuries tonight on a very cold night.
We've been talking about a really warm story from a father-son standpoint on the Montana side with Jeff Fisher here, seeing Brandon Fisher, but there in the background in the wheelchair, that's Clayton Matthews. Now, he's the son of Mickey Matthews. He's the wide receivers coach on this staff, wears a headset, coaches, recruits, all from his wheelchair, lives on his own, drives a car that's been retrofitted for him. He was in a car accident on August 3rd of 2003 after playing for his dad here at James Madison. Was a quarterback and wide receiver, but he was paralyzed from the mid-chest down in that car accident in 2003. He goes through a good year of rehab or more, and then near the end of a year of rehab, when he's made as much progress as he can, he and his mom are on their way back from a doctor's visit. He gets into another car accident with his mom, and that car accident resulted in a fracture in his neck and a re-injury of his spinal cord. He had to start the rehab all over again a year later. But he is an inspirational story, and boy, his dad was so emotional talking to us yesterday about how proud he is of his son. after the injury timeout. Second down and goal for James Madison. Holloman on a cutback. Lost a yard. Back to the 4. Jace Palmer turned him back inside.
That's a bit of a curious call on second down. You've had such success running right at Montana. You played a little bit of the strength of this secondary and these linebackers from Montana when you start running horizontally east to west. And now you've created the biggest third down of this football game. If you're James Madison and Mickey Matthews, you've got to find a way to punch this ball into the end zone.
Dudzik runs the option. Keeps it himself and gets blasted at the 1-yard line. Statnick came up and made the hit to keep him out of the end zone. Now it's 4th and goal from the 1, and I would think James Madison would go for it.
And I think this is a ball you've got to run between the tackles. Again, another horizontal play. They at least had the threat there of the pitch that kept some of the Montana defenders honest. This is a play you've had a lot of success tonight, running behind your all-league, all-everything guard and center, Scott Lem and Dorian Brooks.
4th down and goal from the 1. Holloman going nowhere. Montana gets the stop and turns James Madison over on downs.
There was a situation earlier in the game, last drive of Montana, where I told you they pushed the line of scrimmage to James Madison. They reasserted themselves. How about Montana there with the push in the middle of that defensive line? Montana 10 minutes away from Chattanooga.
The goal line stand completed a moment ago by Montana.
And we talked about some of the seniors not making plays for James Madison. How about the sophomore? Yeah, Colt came in and cleaned it up, but how about Tyler Hobbs in the middle of that line, stopping that play and letting his buddies come and clean up on 4th down.
Reynolds for a gain of a couple. Let's head back to our studios.
All right, Bob, the Yankees didn't stop with CC Sabathia. A.J. Burnett has agreed to a 5-year deal with the Yankees. He gets $82.5 million in that deal. And the Giants will be without running back Brandon Jacobs against the Cowboys on Sunday. Both of his knees have been a problem, but the left one is going to keep him out of the game. More on SportsCenter after our game.
Our game has about 10 minutes to go. Bob Wischusen and Brock Ewert here at James Madison in Virginia in the Shenandoah Valley. It is a cold night, and it has been a cold night in the red zone for the James Madison offense. Turning it over on downs. They have fumbled twice in the red zone. Montana recovered both of those. And now the Grizzlies just trying to create some breathing room here, having 3rd down and 6 at their own 7-yard line, but they have a 3-score lead in this national semifinal. And Brock, you have to wonder, without that man, Rodney Landers, he is the all-everything quarterback for James Madison, how limited their play calling was down inside the 5-yard line.
I'd say limited, Bob, but when you've had trouble with him in there and he fumbled earlier, I think you've got to credit this Montana defense, and in particular on that 4th down, the play of the interior defensive line, which, as I said earlier, real strength for the Grizzlies.
A draw on 3rd down. And Reynolds is stopped. So now Montana will have to punt it from their own end zone. And this should be great field position for James Madison, which after getting turned over on downs is the exact scenario they needed.
Yeah, some conservative play calling when you're ahead 18 points in the 4th quarter. You play the numbers here. You play conservatively, does Bobby Hauck in the offense there. Now this becomes a very large punt. Again, a very inexperienced, a redshirt freshman punter is Ken Wood. This is the biggest punt of his career.
A high snap out of the end zone. It's a safety. Kevin Clebeau snapped it out of the back of the end zone. That is a huge play. That makes it a 2-possession game.
And I said earlier, the head coach is also the special teams coach. And Kevin Clebeau, to his credit, it's a kid that's been nicked up with an injury. He's normally their starting fullback. He's not been playing fullback because of injury there, and you just see the ball. No chance for Ken Wood as that ball disappears into the netting over his head.
All of a sudden, the lead has been cut to 16, an unforced error for Montana. Well, Stan, you couldn't have asked for a better start tonight for the Montana Grizzlies, and they have carried that start throughout. But with 8 minutes and 22 seconds to go in our national semifinal, the winner advancing on to the national championship game next Friday night. We'll have it for you from Chattanooga. All of a sudden, Montana has let James Madison back in the game with an unforced error. It's now a two-possession game with 8:22 to go. Kevin Clebeau's errant snap on the punt from the end zone, and the safety gives it back to James Madison. There's Darius Ramsey. Pretty good field position out to the 44-yard line, and Saturday is football night on ESPN. First at 8 Eastern, one college football player will transcend greatness and become a legend. Bradford, McCoy, and Tebow, they're the finalists, but only one will walk away a winner in the Heisman Trophy presentation presented by Nissan. Then at 9 Eastern, catch the greatest game ever played, presented by Sprint, a modern airing of the classic between the Colts and Giants, digitally restored in high-definition color. The Heisman Trophy presentation presented by Nissan, the greatest game ever played, presented by Sprint, back-to-back on ESPN, and that's Saturday night. Drew Dudzik, a little hitch to the far side. No gain. Is that a fumble? And it's recovered by James Madison. Eugene Holloman scrambled over to recover the ball after it was knocked away by Tom Martin. Marcus Turner coughed it up.
Actually, that was Shan Schillinger on the tackle, not realizing he popped that ball out. He had a chance here, actually, if he would have known the ball's on the ground. Another great stick in the open field by Montana.
A loss of 4 yards. Getting some of that yardage back now is Holloman, but it'll be 3rd down and 8. He's out to the 45-yard line.
Look at that clock just tick away, Bob. Under 7.5 minutes to go now. Again, you got to be up tempo if you're James Madison. This has got to be like a 2-minute offense. But when you're an offense adept at running the ball, you don't run this scheme in this 2-minute drill a whole lot in practice.
And you have to think this is 4-down territory for them, down 2 scores and 2-point conversions. 3rd down and 8. Dudzik over the middle, a drop. Bosco Williams drops the ball at the 40-yard line.
And likewise, we've talked a lot tonight about Rob Fennessy. Well, how about Jeff Durden there? He does a nice job on 3rd down of that play action scheme. You see the fake, hold those linebackers enough. And that's an excellent throw right on the belt buckle. That's a play you've got to make.
That hurts. Under 7 minutes to go, and yes, James Madison will go for it on 4th down and 8. A late play action fake by Dudzik. Goes to the sideline, has a man. Kirby Long picks up the 1st down and then some. A gain of 29 on 4th and 8.
You're right, that was a slow developing play. Typically on 4th downs, you don't see that kind of play action pass, but effective there for James Madison and getting awfully close to that red zone again.
Holloman on the take up the middle, inside the 20-yard line, down to about the 18. Chase Palmer tripped him up.
Now keep an eye on this clock. That play ended with about 6:37 to go. Again, if you are an Oklahoma, you are an Alabama, you are a Florida, this ball is snapped. Watch the differential in those critical seconds between getting that play from the sideline and the snap. It's over 20 seconds.
That's a kind of keeper at the 10-yard line. Touchdown. two-point conversion to try and make it a one-possession game with 6:10 remaining. Dudzik will roll. He'll come back to the near side, try and run it in, leaps. Is he stopped short of the goal line? The officials, I believe, will say yes. He's kept out. Sean Lebsock came up and decleated Drew Dudzik. And this is certainly worth another look. How close does the ball come to breaking the plane? We may have gotten it across the line. They'll have to go to the replay booth and take another look. Does the tip of the football break the plane as he is flipped upside down? What'd you think?
What a great shot. Is that just, if you could have the epitome of playoff football, this is the epitome of playoff football. You're not going to be able to judge, I don't think, from that view.
I think the last angle we had might be the one that will give you, on a freeze frame here, a determination. I think the ball gets across the line.
Well, that is awfully, awfully close, isn't
All it has to do is
I know, any part of that line. You can imagine that line coming straight up vertically as a pane of glass. And if that ball touches any bit of that pane of glass, that is a touchdown. And this is one, Bob, that, like we see so often with replay, is it conclusive enough? Or is it too much judgment? Is there just too much judgment there to overturn this call?
Again, another example of why the call on the field sets the precedent. And why once that precedent is set, it is so difficult to overturn it. If they had said that he broke the plane there, they probably wouldn't overturn that from the replay booth either.
What effort, what determination out of the backup. And again, imagine that vertical line coming directly up. Try to telestrate that. I don't think I can try. I'm not an architect. I don't think I can draw a straight enough line. I'm not going to try that.
Easy there, Mike Brady.
But that's the judgment of these officials, these ACC replay officials.
After further review, the ball broke the plane of the goal line. The two-point conversion.
I don't know, Brock, if it was 100% clear-cut and conclusive, and I'm sure the folks watching us back in Montana are saying you can't make that call based on replay. I have to admit, my first inclination when I saw the first replay we showed was that he was able to reach that ball out and basically touch that imaginary plane. I think right there he's got it across the line. Just enough. I think replay got it right.
Are his fingers across the line? That is just a very difficult call, and I got to be honest with you. I am surprised that they overturned that call. I really am, because more often than not, if there's any room for judgment, any room for error, as you said, the precedent has been set on the field, but that call has brought this crowd back to life.
Now Montana is guarding against an onside kick with 6:10 to go in a one-possession game. I can't imagine there's any way James Madison would try an onside kick, but clearly Montana has 10 players up near the 40-yard line guarding against just that. And sure enough, it's sent deep. A long run, and it stays in the field of play. Schulte trapped on the sideline, knocked out at the 13-yard line. And a flag comes in late. Tavion Cuffey made the special team stop.
Referees have not played a very prominent role to this point tonight. That replay call very prominent, and now this flag will be huge as far as field position goes for either side. It was a late flag that came in on the sidelines, and typically that's going to be for extracurricular activity, a late hit on either side.
Watch the left side of your screen here as they continue to discuss, and it's a long discussion, as to who the penalty is going to be against.
We have 2 fouls on the play. We have holding on a return, number 80. That penalty will be enforced 10 yards from the end of the run, followed by a dead ball, personal foul, number 91 on the defense. That'll be 15 yards, first down.
DJ Bryant, 91 for James Madison in purple, is the second flag that was thrown. He's on the left side of your screen. You be the judge. And there's the hit, late out of bounds.
You just can't make that error, and I believe they're going to mark that instead of 10 yards back, that'll actually be half the distance, and then it will be 15 yards from there and get Montana out past at least the 20-yard line.
Out to the 22. He was knocked out at the 13 or so. So half the distance brought it just inside the 7, and from there they tacked on 15 yards and moved it out to the 22-yard line. Can Montana end the game? With 6 minutes to go, they've got the 8-point lead. Nothing there for Chase Reynolds. A yard, maybe 2. Pat Williams led the charge for that James Madison defense.
You saw on the last drive a very conservative play calling. Yes, they were inside their own 5-yard line, and that will lead you to 3 runs. But Bobby Houck, Rob Fennessy have some decisions to make here. James Madison's committing to stopping this run. You have one-on-one matchups outside. How will Bobby Houck and Rob Fennessy handle this situation with 5 minutes to go? It's like a run audible there.
He might be changing the play with the play clock down to 4. Reynolds out across the 25 to about the 27-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 5 as we approach the 5-minute mark.
How about the effort of Arthur Moats there? He's limping around a bit the last 2 plays, and even that last drive, he's come alive. Mickey Matthews telling us he's been a different man, obsessed after not being a first or second team league defender this year. Though he had 11 sacks and was the most active defensive player, boy, is this a big 3rd down.
Bergquist will throw for it. Well protected. A bullet low for Chase Reynolds, and he scoops it up for the 1st down. What a throw. What a catch by the tailback. And that is 9 straight completions this half for Cole Bergquist.
And I'll tell you right now, Cole Bergquist is not managing this football game. Cole Bergquist is making every play he's had to make in the red zone on 3rd down. A great job there with ball placement. You said it, he threw it down low. He felt that linebacker behind Chase Reynolds. And how about Chase Reynolds, a redshirt sophomore? He also felt that linebacker, secured the catch, and moved those chains.
2 more 1st downs for Montana, and they might end the game. James Madison still has all 3 timeouts. Again, it goes to the workhorse Reynolds, and this time good yardage on 1st down. A gain of 6, maybe a hair more across the 40-yard line.
Now it becomes decision-making time if you're Mickey Matthews and your staff. When do you use those timeouts? You know that Montana's going to wind this clock down. They're going to continue to run behind their 300-plus pounders. And you're right, Bob, a couple more 1st downs, and this football game is over.
Chase Reynolds now has 172 yards of total offense tonight and 3 touchdowns. Couple of tight ends and a power eye on 2nd down and 3. Reynolds again. Stopped short. It'll be 3rd down and 2 as he's driven back. J.D. Skolnitsky was the first man in the hole for the Dukes.
You've thrown a couple touchdowns tonight on 3rd down, Bob. The last 3rd down, it was a little bit longer than 2. But you trusted Cole Bergquist enough to throw the football. Montana 8 of 11. The difference tonight on 3rd down, along with the turnovers. What a huge call for the Grizzlies here.
What's better than playoff football? Look at this place. Bergquist to throw for it on third down on a rollout. Down the sideline for the big play. The catch is made by Mariani. Inbounds for a first down to the 23-yard line. What a call by Montana again.
And you see the disappointment there from Evan McCullough. He is the senior. He is the first-team All-CAA player. And once again, great play-action pass. And a quarterback on the run who understands when I'm running to my right, that ball will tend to float to the right. But he does a great job of keeping that ball in bounds. And does Mariani do enough here to hold on to the football?
Does he have complete control before landing out of bounds? If the play stands, Bergquist is 10 for 10 in the second half with 3 touchdowns and a play that might end the game. But they're definitely going to go to the replay booth here. Mariani, if replay isn't involved, they're going to rule this a catch every time. But boy, you slow it down frame by frame. He didn't have complete control of it, and he lands out of bounds. Still doesn't have it.
There. He has control there.
Then the nose of the ball hits the ground. I don't know.
And how big does our conversation become that we had with Mickey Matthews in his booth yesterday, in his office yesterday, when we talked about instant replay and how they don't have instant replay in this league and what it will mean to the impact of the game tomorrow night. And as you've seen already with the 2-point conversion, and now these ACC officials up in the booth. A couple huge calls late in this fourth quarter. So what are you calling here, Bob? Incomplete?
Because it was ruled complete on the field, I think they will stick with that call. But in my opinion, it's an incomplete pass. I don't think he has complete control of the ball before he lands out of bounds. I think he lands out and then he has control of the ball. There's already been one very close call that's gone James Madison's way.
After further review, the runner did not have the pass receiver did not have possession of the ball. It's incomplete.
I think it's the right call, Brock, do you?
I do too, and I think it's there, the initial. If he would have had control initially, I think that's a lot harder to turn over, but you just, I think that is the right call, Bob. As difficult as that is to judge, these are two situations now where typically, again, you say, is there conclusive enough information there to overturn the call? And this ACC replay team both times has determined, yes, there is enough conclusive evidence.
What an amazing turnaround again, with replay playing a huge role here in the second half. James Madison was given a very borderline 2-point conversion call via replay on their last possession that made it an 8-point game. And now a third down completion from Bergquist to Mariani that really could have, for all intent and purposes, ended the game, is turned back again on replay. And Scotty McGee is deep to receive the punt. And now I think the officials may be going back just to confirm the spot of the ball. Now that they've ruled it.
The play clock.
Please reset the game clock to 2 minutes and 10 seconds. 2 minutes and 10 seconds.
So they tack on 4 more seconds for James Madison.
What a game. What a game. And what determination Mickey Matthews' team, his staff, his offense to respond to your star. Coming out of the game, your backup quarterback, and to play with this level of pride and determination. There you see the clock in the bottom right.
They lost 10 seconds.
That's right. That should be 2:23 on the clock.
They actually lost about 14 seconds. They may have to redo it again.
Game clock to 2:23.
There you go.
2:23 on the game clock.
So our guys in the truck, Johnny on the spot, alerting the officials and the replay group. 2 minutes and 23 seconds for James Madison. Inside of 2 minutes, of course, in college football, you pick up a first down, the clock stops. And on top of that, they have all 3 timeouts.
How about this snap right now? You think Kevin Claybo's hands are a little sweaty right now after sailing the last punt snap over the head?
That safety made it a 2-possession game, a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, make it a 1-possession game, and here we go. Claybo gets off a good snap. And Wood gets off a line drive kick. A hop for McGee. He is a dangerous return man. He's going the wrong direction, though, with flags down. Stays on his feet at the 5. And he's brought down at about the 13-yard line, but a block in the back will most likely mean a half the distance to the goal penalty, and that'll put James Madison at about their own 5-yard line.
Thank you.
Here's another look at the penalty, and it was a pretty clear block in the back right there.
And not just the block in the back, how about the 18 seconds?
During the return, number 33. Penalties 10 yards from, half the distance from the end of the run. Be first down.
Replay has had a huge impact on this game. A 2-point conversion that goes James Madison's way. The Mariani catch ruled incomplete. This might have ended the game. Instead, James Madison still has a chance.
ESPN's college football is presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We'll pick you up. And in part by Subway, home of the famous always made fresh $5 footlong.
An amazing national semifinal in the football championship subdivision, formerly known as Division I AA, Montana and James Madison. And the top-ranked team in America, James Madison, needs to go 93 yards in the last 2 minutes or so to give themselves a chance to force overtime. The winner moves on to Chattanooga and the championship game next Friday night. Quarterback draw, does it, gets to the sideline. Out of bounds and stops the clock. Across the 20-yard line, and let's take a look at the Coke Zero game track. 10 points for James Madison. Here in the fourth quarter, Montana led this game by 18 points with 8:22 to go.
And you said it during the break, Bob. This is a James Madison team that's adept at coming back. A Hail Mary pass early in the year. They've had big comebacks and a never-say-die attitude.
Up the middle goes Holloman, and they are doing this without their quarterback. Rodney Landers is the player of the year in the Colonial Conference. He was the offensive player of the year, all first team, hurt his ankle in the first half, could not come back for the second half, and now James Madison with their backup quarterback, Drew Dudsing. With 1:42 to go, they spend their first time out down 8. Sunday night, Matt Weiner hosts Bowl Mania on ESPN. We'll rank all 34 bowl games with Jesse Palmer picking winners in each. He'll reflect his confidence in his picks, plus Chris Lee and Kurt make their picks in a game day segment. Todd McShay will give us some players who might be playing in the NFL next year. Bowl Mania presented by Assurant Health on ESPN Sunday night at 8:30 Eastern. And 1AA, we've got playoffs, and we're down to the last minute and 42. A shovel pass. Holloman breaks free. Holloman all the way out to the 40-yard line, and that'll stop the clock with James Madison picking up a first down.
And a long time ago, what seems like an eternity now, I talked about tackling being a real point of emphasis for Montana. There's Sean Lebsock, the middle linebacker. Again, he read that play. He's just got to find a way to wrap up these nifty running backs.
Dudzik wants to throw it, has a man. And again, they'll get the clock stopped with Marcus Turner picking up a first down. And they're now in plus territory with 1:21 to go and 2 timeouts.
How about the backup quarterback in the second half? Throwing the interception to go into halftime. All that Drew Dudzik has done in this second half is move this football team, make great decisions both with his feet. Now you've seen it with his arm. Again, a real testament to his fortitude and this staff rallying around him and rallying around the circumstance.
Dudzik will throw it again under pressure off his back foot and gets it to the sideline. No harm done. Brandon Fisher came on a blitz and forced him to unload early as we check in with Stan Barrett. Pardon me, we're going to keep it right here. Coming up on SportsCenter with Neil Everett and Scott Van Pelt. Cowboys versus Cowboys. Is that a saga in Big D? We'll check in and see what the next chapter is with T.O. The season Cavs stay hot. We'll see if Boston and Cleveland can extend their win streaks. And the Yankees, I think their bank account is flush based on what they've done over the past week.
I think the Steinbrenner family
Well, it's great. It's
not
great
hit in any way, shape, or form by the economic troubles of the rest of the country.
We're going to verify the clock status on that play.
They're going to go to replay and make sure that with 1:17 to go, we have an accurate clock. And that is all too important in a playoff scenario. And you're right, it's good for baseball, isn't it, to sign a $160 million pitcher and follow it up with an $85 million pitcher 3 days later? Let's take another look and see. That clock stayed frozen for a while. And it went from 120
field clock.
It went from 121 down to 117. So really for the officials in the replay booth, this is going to be nothing but an estimate because the clock never ran in the first place.
The clock was not started on the play. Please reset the game clock to 1:16. 1:16.
They take 1 second off. Second down and 10 with 1:16 remaining. James Madison still with 2 timeouts left. Dudzik can tuck it under and run. Instead throws on the run and delivers a strike. First down to Rakid McCarter. And there's a flag down back at the line of scrimmage. A holding call against James Madison.
And for a game that saw very little of the yellow flags early.
On the offense, number 53, 10 yards from the previous spot. Third play, second down.
Mickey Matthews is livid. He was about 5 yards out on the field. And you could even hear him arguing through the referee's mic as he made the announcement to the crowd. So now it's second down and 20 back to the 41-yard line. The winner goes to Chattanooga in the national championship game. We'll have it for you next Friday night.
I said what a great game this is tonight. Just a terrific football game.
A 4-man rush. They wanted the screen, and Montana realized it. And that forced Dudzik to throw it away. And now extra flags come out.
And that's got to be receiver or lineman down the field, doesn't it? It's Murphy's Law. We didn't see any of the stripes in the whole first half. And now you see 2 enormous replays. You see numerous flags in the last 5 minutes of the game. What a great job by Montana's defensive line. I don't see anything there other than the lineman down the field. There you go. Dorian Brooks was anticipating the shovel pass there, a pass behind the line.
Eligible downfield, number 53. That penalty's declined. Third down.
Brock, you mentioned it. What a great job by a very well-coached Montana defensive front to recognize and snuff out the screen and force Dudzik to throw it away.
That's the strength, Bob. That is the strength of this defense. Those 2 senior interior redshirt fifth-year seniors at your defensive tackle. You've got a lot of smart football players. And now you've put James Madison up against it with a 3rd and 20.
Here comes the blitz. Dudzik wants the big play. He's got a man. Incomplete. Over the head of Rakid McCarter. And McCarter had a step on Keith Thompson. They sold out, brought a blitz, and had man coverage on the far side.
What a gutsy call there by defensive coordinator Craig Paulson on 3rd and 20. to leave your junior college transfer who was not here all spring. Keith Thompson and the other starting quarter, Andrew Swink, an amazing story. Both of them transferred in August. In fact, all 5 of their cornerbacks are true freshmen or junior college transfers, leaving them alone on an island there.
And now with 4th down and 20, they call timeout as we take a look at today's Pontiac game-changing performance.
You could argue it was maybe the 2-point conversion, but there's certainly no doubt about it. With the time being such, just over 2 minutes left in the football game, and Mark Mariani came down with what was called a catch, went up to the replay booth, determined the ball was loose, out of bounds, incomplete. Let's put Montana's defense to the test here. You see Mariani there. He's sensing 57 seconds away from Chattanooga and playing for the national championship next Friday night.
Maybe one play away, because James Madison now faced with 4th down and 20 to keep the drive alive. And they called a timeout, leaving themselves with only 1 remaining to set this play up. Here we go.
And this will not be a blitz.
7 deep in coverage for Montana. A completion to the far side. No, McCarter dropped it. And that will end the game. Rakeem McCarter had it in his hands. A perfect strike thrown by Drew Dudzik. And McCarter dropped the ball.
Hey, go get Fisher.
You said it right, Bob. You cannot put this on Drew Dudzik. Does a terrific job, even with his eyes, not predetermining. Could not have put that football in a better spot. And that's part of the challenge when you are not a passing football team, and that's not the basis of what you do. And yeah, you got to give some credit there, don't you, to Andrew Swink, the defensive back. Again, one of those corners that came to Missoula in August, does a great job there of actually getting his hands in. I don't know if I'd call that a blatant drop as much as I'd give pretty good credit there to Andrew Swink to rip that football out at the end.
It's a tough one for Rakeem McCarter, but you have to hold on to that football. And now all that remains for Montana to pull the upset and beat James Madison, the top-ranked team in America, is to take one more knee. And Bobby Houck's team is going to Chattanooga to play for the national championship.
What a great football game. Again, I tip my hat to Mickey Matthews, his entire staff, to regroup in that second half. You lose one of the top players in all of Division I AA football, now the football championship subdivision. You lose Rodney Landers at halftime. They respond. They brilliant effort in this fourth quarter to come back, but in the end, those 4 turnovers, the great balance that Montana displayed throughout offensively. Bobby Houck and the Grizzlies
Great season, guys.
heading back to the national championship game.
It is going to be a fun plane ride back to the Big Sky for the Grizzlies. They move on, upsetting James Madison on their home field. And tomorrow afternoon at 4 Eastern, Richmond and Northern Iowa will play for the right to take on Montana for the national championship next Friday night. The game we'll have for you on ESPN2 from Chattanooga. Our final score, Montana pulls it off, 35-27. They beat James Madison. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Sports Center is coming up next on ESPN2. You can tune to ESPN News for our post-game extra in a few moments. For Brock Ewart and our entire production crew, I'm Bob Wischusen. We'll see you next Friday night for the championship game in Chattanooga.